2 a.m. in a lot of places is the end of the party, but in some places it's like in New York goes until 4, you know, so sometimes that's when people are showing up or when shit's just getting hype. I'm from Texas and everything shuts down at like 2 a.m. So on a whole, that's when things kind of just go into chaos. And like maybe they're chaos the whole time, but the fact that there's music playing and completely drowning out all that out, you just don't even notice that it's. So when it's silent, you're seeing people with the girls with their shoes off, stumbling, their friends needing to carry them. You can see, you know, the remnants of what had just taken place in the club. Like the floor is filthy, there's cups everywhere, people are getting hauled out, there's altercations, walking out the door, security's tripping, like people that are staff there are over it and they're ready to go home, they're yelling at people to clear out. Like there's just a lot of noise that's not music at 2 in the morning. Streets beeping, people, drunk people walking into the street, cops hustling with people. 2 a.m. is chaos. Oh Lord, see, I'm the wrong person to ask this to because I'm very, not even that. I'm just like, I'm uptight. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of sacrificed a personal life and like that whole part of being young to focus on DJing. Like I started doing this 3 years ago, so I felt like I made Serato my boyfriend. So there's not a whole lot of that because like as a woman it's different than men. And but you know what, I won't even say this. I'm gonna speak specifically about myself because there's a lot of women out here that are very like feminist and like strong and like are empowered by that, and that's so tight to me. But me, I'm like, yo, I can't take the risk of being distracted or catching feelings for somebody, so I'm gonna just do my job and take my little grandma ass home and cook my little food and go to sleep, make sure I'm cute. Because with guys, they can like drink and party and stay out all night and like be reckless and like it doesn't really matter what they look like, but if I don't sleep, I look crazy. And when I DJ, it's like there's gonna be a camera in your face, people wanna take pictures of you or with you just because you're a girl. They don't even have to know who you are. It's not because anybody, it's just because there's a woman there and that's different. So I have to make sure that I'm cute or I'm on point, I look rested, that I'm fresh. So I don't do a whole lot of extracurricular activity. I just do my job and go home. We live in LA and that is the home of the after party in the hills. So I can't even name one. Most of the good after parties are there at someone's house where there's all kinds of wild things happening. Who knows where to even begin. It's like, I've been at parties where there's mountains of Coke on the table. I've been at parties where there's topless girls that are like the bartenders, like, you know, just kind of roaming around. I've been at parties with free weed bars, like, LA's really good about that, kind of like one-upping whatever it was that happened last, and it's so saturated here with this competitive nature to be the best and have the best party and like take it up a notch and just like be remembered because there's so much going on that I think that when you live here, you run the gamut. Like you've seen a lot of really active after parties. There's a lot of really good things and a lot of not so great things that are hopefully going in a better direction. I think being a woman in a male-dominated industry has some really, really huge advantages, as well as it has some very unfortunate disadvantages, because like the whole world's talking about right now, there's a wild amount of sexism. It's interesting that it's even being talked about now, because the reality is that most of us have just dealt with it our whole lives and don't even process it. Like, I don't think anything of it. If the catcalling and the, you know, the dismissiveness and lack of respect just as a woman in a male-dominated industry, I don't think anything of that. And maybe it's because I have a thick skin, but it's interesting that it's part of the narrative now that people are talking about it. But to answer the question, the negative of it is that people can be so disrespectful. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've walked in a club with a whole DJ bag on my shoulder to go to the booth, and security is like, I can't let any girls in the booth. And I'm like, and still he's looking at me like, what? And I'm just like, yo, I'm DJing. He's like, how are you DJing? we'll look up to the booth. There's a guy standing there. He's DJing. I'm like, bruh, I know this might be hard for you to wrap your head around, but he's opening for me. And then there's silence. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, then it's just like, let me just nudge past your ass, get out of the way. But there's so much of that. There's so much disrespect and just like blatant ignorance, like when it comes to, especially if you're a woman and you come dressed in heels and a dress, like that's when you're gonna absolutely get no, like, there's a million tales of that. Like, just to be taken seriously should be like the minimum, just to not be like brushed off or like dismissed. But that is probably the most common thing I deal with, unless I'm on the flyer or unless people like are expecting me. If I'm just doing a job, people aren't expecting me, I don't have a point of contact walking me in, the disrespect is unreal. I have to dramatize it. I would have to, in order to just even answer it like that. Because to me, like I said, I feel like it's such a part of like the everyday, the fact that it's part of the conversation now, and that like the way that men treat women is being discussed on the level that it's being discussed right now is all of a sudden garnering all this attention. But for me, it's just been part of everyday life. So I mean, I think the craziest, I don't know if I would say that, but like constantly there's just like extremely drunk men, like very much not taking no for an answer, like during the club hours, like sending bottles to the booth, and then that somehow translating in their own mind to I've earned, you know, your time at this point. So when you're packing up and you're ready to go home, now you got to deal with me. You got to talk to me, and let's go eat. Let me take you here. Let's come back to my hotel. And I'm just like, I would like to go back to my hotel or go to sleep or go get food by myself. Like, I just got off work. I don't want to be dealing with a stranger. Men and their advances is probably the most extreme thing I have to deal with on a regular basis, especially because that environment really, like, you know, men are lit at the end of the night, so. The best? Whew, that's like picking your favorite kid. I won't say best, some like notable places, and I feel like every year it gets better. Like every time I visit a new place, and maybe it's because would like to think I'm getting better, so the parties are, like the gigs are getting better, like the performances are better, but like the response from the crowd would be better. But my like notable places have been, one was Paris, completely changed, a switch turned on in my head when I DJ'd in Paris, and I 100% know I got better that night. Like something just made sense. From that point on, I feel like I skipped a couple levels, and then I started really like being a DJ that night. From that, I think Tanzania is a big standout place for me. The party was incredible. They treated me so well. The energy was just unmatched. And Asia is also a really, really, really great place for energy, because like they're like a mirror. Like whatever you give them, they give you back. If I start jumping, they start jumping. If I put my hands up, they put their hands up. If I'm yelling, if I'm spinning around and having a great time, they're exactly that. And you can do that in other places and that not necessarily be the response that you get. But Asia's awesome for that. I love them for that. I love to perform for them. I can't wait. And I think that I'm a better version of myself in front of that crowd, because I know exactly what I'm going to get if I give it. So I go in there ready to just wild out, just have a bunch of energy. Versus America is very cool, so I'm very cool when I DJ in America, and so it's like sometimes it gets there. Oh, you know what? I love Montreal. I love Canada. Montreal, Vancouver, Toronto are all excellent places to play, because Canadians just want to have fun.